Hi there. It's August the 30th, and we continue our journey through the book of Job with chapters 34 to 36. In these chapters, the young man Elihu is continuing to speak up on God's behalf, having listened to the older men, including Job, battling it out and justifying themselves or accusing Job of having sinned. Elihu is really wanting to say that God's righteousness is far above man's righteousness. Job has protested his own righteousness, his own being right before God, but actually what Elihu is trying to say here is that God's righteousness far exceeds our righteousness. If we remember the words of Isaiah, that our righteousnesses are like filthy rags before God, the best we can do actually are far exceeded by his righteousness. Not only that, but God acts in mishpat, in justice, and this is a very important theme in this part, that God's mishpat, and mishpat is a word in Hebrew that means equity, it means balance, it means the holding back of chaos. God's action in justice is not vindictive to punish, it's actually to bring balance and to bring the right scales into action. So God will always act in a righteous way. In chapter 35, Elihu accuses Job of having said that his righteousness is more than God's, which actually puts him in danger of being a sinner, because he's claimed that his righteousness is greater than God. Now we know what's going on here because we know the origin of the story, but this is Elihu warning Job not to put himself above God. And in fact, in chapter 36, Elihu makes it clear that he's seeking to speak on God's behalf, and he maintains that God despises no one, and that through the things that people go through these trying and testing times, God is actually trying to teach, he's trying to win us back to himself, and that there is a place of response, that God doesn't despise the poor, he doesn't, in fact he delivers the poor, that when we come with humility and meekness before him, we can see God act. I suppose that Elihu is saying that Job is in danger of setting himself up against God. Rather, he needs to submit to God, and so that God can lift him up. We know that's a principle with God, that when we act in meekness, when we come in humility to God, God is unlocked to do amazing things. And in the end of chapter 36, Elihu begins to paint an amazing picture of who God is, the one who makes the raindrops, the one who causes the storms, the one who covers up the sun with clouds. God is not capricious. God is not devious. God is deeply righteous, deeply just. And God rules. God rules okay. Whatever situation we find ourselves in, we can be confident that we have a God who is not detached from us and who is not hammering us down in our situations, but who wants to connect with us. So he invites us, as Elihu invites Job, to come in a place of meekness, a place of humility, a place of submission to him, and we will find that connection, we will find that relationship with him afresh. Have a very good August the 30th.